Hello folks, I just want to make a quick video. If you got a Subaru STI and you work on it yourself, you probably bought these tools, Company 23 cam gear holder tools, because they, hold your cam gear in place while you break loose the center nut or tighten the center nut. And I'm going to tell you that this is the tool that's pictured in the Subaru service manual. The number of the Subaru tool is 499977500. I got that memorized. It's in the Subaru service manual, and if you see pictures of how they hold the cam in the Subaru manual, this is the tool. This is not a Subaru tool, it's an aftermarket one. I bought it for like $50. I think on eBay or Amazon.com. I'll post a link when I put this video up. This is what you're supposed to hold the cams with, okay? And this is why, because you hold the center piece, has like a keyway here, and the keyway locks in. There it goes. See the keys, the tool locks in. And that's how you're supposed to hold your cam when you're tightening it. And the reason for that is, since I took one of the cam gears completely apart, I took an exhaust apart, I took an intake apart, see what goes on inside. So the exhaust cam gear has a spring on it. All right, let me go get the other piece. It's in the box over here, so we can discuss this properly. This piece here, okay? The spring locks in this hole here on the side. All right? The spring locks in the side, and the spring locks around that pin right there. And it's loaded. This spring hole and this pin, this spring hole and this pin are 180 degrees apart on a brand new one that's not broken. Okay. And if you look at the bottom, you see there's a little tiny hole. You see there's a big hole and a little hole. See the little hole? Okay, the little hole is there because the rotor on the exhaust rotor has a pin which happens to be broken off, and you can see the damage here where the pin broke and scratched in. That pin lines up with that hole and keeps them in that position so that you could put your cam gear in, right? And then this is bolted to the camshaft, right? I happen to have a camshaft over here on the floor, so we'll show you. So this is an exhaust cam, right? This is the exhaust side of the head. Come on. There it is. See, now the exhaust cam is turning. See? So the spring on the front is helping to pull the cam in the advanced direction, right? At all times. So oil pressure is used to keep the rotor fighting the spring when you're driving the car. Anyway, we don't want to get too far into that. Hold on, I got a camera in one hand and a thing in the other. But you can see here that the pin, see where my thumb is? See where the pin sheared? Okay. That pin was holding this in alignment to the spring. Remember, because your bolt goes through there and your bolt goes into the cam. So these three things are locked together with a bolt really tight. They're not going to turn, okay? This pin just lines it up, right? All right, once it's lined up and the bolt is in and it's tight, it ain't ever going to move, okay? And the same thing here. There's a pin here that locks that locks this piece here, and then once that bolt is in and it's tight, it's never going to rotate. The problem is when you hold the outside of your cam gear with the company 23 tool, and then you put a big breaker bar in the center and you try to turn, guess what? You're turning the internals until the screw comes loose enough to release. So you're putting all the pressure on this. When you're putting all the pressure on this, you're spinning this and you're breaking that little pin and you're ripping it around. And the reason this pin is important is because it holds this piece with the spring holes 180 degrees apart like I previously described. So the company 23 tools are trash. Don't use them on your Subaru STI cam gears, not the exhaust. And I'll explain to you about the intake right now. Okay, the intake internals. The exhaust has a lock. See this little thing? This little thing drops in the hole here and locks the intake in the 0 position advanced. So when you hold your intake cam, right? This is an intake cam. So when you hold your intake cam with the company 23 tool, right? And then you turn the center, you're putting the pressure on the center of this thing. But this thing is locked inside here. Okay, and I'll show you how it's locked by a little metal pin. Well, it's a little, not little, but it's locked by a pin right there in this hole here in the back here, right? Oil pressure lifts that pin up, by the way, when it's time for the whole operation to work. Oil pressure will lift that pin up, let this turn, come back, drop it back in. There's a spring inside. So my point is when you hold your intake with the company 23 tool and you torque the center, you're putting all your pressure on the internals and you're putting all your torque pressure on this pin. Okay? Just to let you know what you're doing. I haven't seen any problems with an advanced intake cam yet from using the company 23 tools, but I've seen them rip apart the exhaust cams because there's supposed to be a pin there. In fact, I have a rotor with a pin. I'm going to show you just to make sure that there's no argument. I have a rotor in here with a pin somewhere. And of course, now that I want to find it, I can't find it. It's got to be on the table somewhere. Here it is. Here it is. This is the one with the pin. Hold on a second. Okay. There's the pin. See the little pin in the middle? See, there's two pins. There's this one that locks the cam, and there's this one that locks just the outer hub, this piece, so that the spring can have its 180 degrees of tension. See the pin? You line it up with the hole. Can you see the hole? You line it up with the hole. And that's it. And then this goes on the exhaust cam and the spring. You understand that the spring is important because the spring helps to pull the exhaust cam in the advanced direction when it's called to go advanced. And this will lock in the advanced position and uses oil pressure to release the lock to let the cam turn back to non-advanced position, 0 degrees of position. So using your company 23 tool shears off that little pin that holds the center hub. Besides the fact that you'd be putting pressure on this even if you weren't breaking the. I mean, after you shear this off, then the cam turns and then you're putting the pressure on the internals. So either way, with company 23 tools, you're putting all the pressure on the internals of your AVCS. And That's why the Subaru manual says, gotta use a tool like this. Subaru special tool 499-977-500. Have a nice day.